Well, hello there, acolytes. This is your Inquisitor speaking. I hope that you've done your daily affirmations to our savior, Hidetaka Miyazaki, for a Bloodborne PC port. In the meantime, though, let me ask you a question. Do you like Metroidvanias? And I'm talking that good shit. Hollow Knight, Sultan's Sanctuary, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Ender Lilies, and its lesser-known sequel, Ender Magnolia. Oh, you do? Good, cause I've come with a special treat. Gravethorn is a game I recently discovered that was solo developed by Volvier, who actually gifted me the game when I joined in a giveaway. Thank you, Volvier. Very cool. Gravethorn is when you take that meme, Suffering Builds Character, and made a game out of it. It takes the atmosphere and attitude of Bloodborne, with weird eldritch shit corrupting an otherwise heavily religious city as you delve further into the secrets of why it all came to be this way. What force beyond our reasoning could possibly be behind— It was the Catholic Church.
You damn me! To hide your own sins!
But the reason as to why that is the case, well, you've forgotten. And you need to reclaim your memories and right the wrongs you've previously committed. Or perhaps even double down and become unstoppable. So if that sounds appealing to you, or you're just looking for something to fill that gothic eldritch horror void in your heart, then look no further as we delve into the hidden gem that is Gravethorn. Welcome to Gravethorn. And while yes, I do mean the game, I actually mean the city this game takes place in. And say hello to our silent protagonist, John Gravethorn. Which may or may not be his real name. But poor John here is suffering from a horrible case of amnesia. He can't remember anything. Just his ability to fight, use his Inquisitor training, speak to the dead, and how to write. You know, the usual stuff you keep with amnesia. So to reclaim everything else we forgot, we need to venture out into the city of Gravethorn and find out exactly what is going on. Speaking of, what the hell is going on? To put it simply, would just be crazy.
I gotta get out of here! Too late!
I won't spoil everything, but as we can clearly tell from the start of the game, some woman loves you to some extent, and her love language is suffering. Oh, and suffer you will. Oh no, oh no. The roots remember. Not only does the game have NPC questlines that struck a chord with me personally and got me very emotional, but the mystery of who this woman was, why she's mad at you, and what does this have to do with the happenings of the city is all very compelling, and I was just as excited to see the next memory as I was to get a new upgrade or to see a new area. And that's not the only suffering you'll be experiencing, thanks to one of the most innovative game mechanics I've seen in a long while. At several points of the game, the schizophrenic, angry wife in your head says that the game isn't hard enough and forces you to choose how it's going to get harder. For example, as I entered the sewers here, I was given a choice of losing max health equal to what would be a quarter of it at the time, taking double damage from the environment, or being unable to receive the auditory hints the game provides for hidden walls. Personally, I went with the trap damage, because I thought, oh, how bad can the traps really be? And I totally did not regret it.
Not yet free.
Fret not, however, for the game also expands its depth with letting you cure these sufferings for the low cost of 1 serum. How do you get serum? Well, you remember BioShock? If not, then you can go check out my review video of it from last year's Spooktober Marathon. Basically, once you find Dr. Blake, you'll be given a choice whether you rescue an NPC on whether to send them to the chapel, which is your hub, or to Blake's clinic, where he will promptly kill the NPC and use his findings to provide you with serum. Wait a minute. I've experienced this before. This is just a rehash of— And don't just think that getting the serum means you only get to undo the difficulty modifiers of the game. You also are given the option to purchase mutations from Blake, and eventually the nurse instead if you never helped Blake to begin with. These mutations act as another form of progression, where they give permanent buffs to your character, such as allowing you to do a dodge attack, inflict statuses with your or your potions heal get a full, just as a few examples. Personally, I didn't go with the doctor. First, I don't know why, but I just have the strangest sense of deja vu. Second, I wanted to be in the shoes of the Inquisitor actually doing the right thing for once in his goddamn life, and chose to suffer. And third, is that I was informed at the start of the game by Volvir himself that this choice will have an effect on the ending. That's right, Gravethorn has multiple endings. I'm not sure exactly how many there are, but I had 4 options once I finished my playthrough, and I know that if you don't get every memory, then you're gonna get different options for your own endings. So not only do you have multiple endings, which you can view all the ones you were able to get in one save file, by the way, but you also have 3 total playthroughs you can do if you really want to see everything. And I mean, hey, for $5 at a base price, that's some insane value you're getting. And during these playthroughs, there's a fairly good amount of variance in how you can play the game and how stories will play out for you. For example, I'm Mr. Oonga Boonga beat you to death with a giant hammer type of guy, so of course I went with a sword focus build. I still did focus on my melee damage as much as possible, but at one point, I found a spell that gives me my own personal stand. I summon my stand! I call forth my stand! Go forth, my stand! Go forth, my stand! Normally, that'd already be cool enough, but it has an upgrade that will permanently increase its damage whenever something dies while the stand is active, and this bonus is tracked even before you get the upgrade. So while I'm doing totally fine early on, once I got the upgrade, I was chunking through enemies, and I had to actually make sure I got my shadow back so I could blast through bosses on each attempt. More on that in a second. And that's just one option of how you can play. There's considerations for a good few playstyles, such as if you want to go full sword, gun, or any other specific spells, each of which can be upgraded thanks to mutations and upgrades of those spells. Now, circling back to the shadow thing I mentioned, Gravethorn's death system takes inspiration from a couple of places. Whenever you die, you leave a shadow behind that you have to reconnect with like Hollow Knight, and if you die again, it's gone forever. The consequences of this is while you don't have that shadow, your mana bar is locked and you can't use any spells, so you'll have to either use a rare consumable or spend gold at the chapel to get that fixed. If you die to a normal mob, then they steal a small amount of your gold and you need to get it back from them, similar to the Blood Echoes thing in Bloodborne. This is even worse if you choose a specific suffering later on that gives you a specific boss fight that will randomly pop up and try to give you the old London greeting, as it were.
Oi, why are you disrespecting me, bruv? My mistake, original gangster. No, this cannot be forgiven. Now empty the compartments of your pantaloons. For what purpose? And discard of your footwear as well. For what purpose? In fact, I am equipped to...
And if you die, he takes all of your gold. Funny thing is that when I was presented with that suffering, I was just gonna choose to reduce my maximum mana, because I was already getting good enough value with my stand, but Volvir was in my chat and told me that the hunter was a fun choice. And I mean, he wasn't wrong, but it did throw a wrench into some of my plans as I was playing the game. Eventually though, I did get strong enough that I could just clap back against the hunter with sheer brute force. One thing I do think would be neat is that when you kill him, he drops a small portion of the gold he stole from you, so it can feel more vindicating getting vengeance on him. But hey, we're here to suffer, so I get it. Oh yeah, and let's talk about bosses for just a second. As a whole, they fall along the lines of relatively easy, especially since you're able to parry most of them like you can normal enemies. Uh-oh. Okay, hang on. Parry this, you... Nope! Parry this, you... Nope! One more time. Parry this! Okay. Also, he's taking away all my fucking health. But they can still put out some tricks that do provide a fun little challenge for the first time through. One of my favorites is this fellow here. Not only is he purging the church, based, but he also reminds me of a certain someone. But I'm not quite sure who it is.
Beasts all over the shop. You'll be one of them, sooner or later.
He's got a simple 1, 2, 3 pattern, but throughout the fight, he throws a curveball at you with a different spell cast that can really fuck you up if you're not careful. In fact, these spells are essentially a countdown to him casting...
Doom!
Doom? Doom?
Apparently there's a means you can discover to circumvent the insta-kill, but brute force was the question, and my answer was yes, so I basically had to flawless that boss, given the sigil I had equipped, which made me take more damage. Highly recommended, by the way. You will not die a frustrating number of times because of it. I promise. And almost every boss in the latter half of the game has a little trick such as that to mess with you, and I found it to be quite enjoyable. Now, because this is a Metroidvania, exploration is a topic to bring up. And it's not the most expansive thing in the world in this game. You already start off with a wall climb, and the only movement tech you get later on is a double jump, which, funnily enough, you could technically not even unlock, and that's because it's tied to the upgrade of a spell that you get after beating a specific boss, and you're given the upgrade material for that spell right after. Clear and obvious game design telling you to upgrade what you just received. But you could technically ignore it if you really wanted to, and while I haven't seen the consequences of that, it is admittedly pretty funny. There are also plenty of branching paths you can take, shortcuts to open up, and hidden walls with cool secrets to find. One really awesome detail is that John Gravethorn actually writes down on his map any notes he has about blocked paths, NPC quests, and anything else that may be relevant, and crosses them out when they're done. This makes it super clear what stuff you may be forgetting to do, and lets you know when you finished them. And you can even toggle this on or off if you want to keep it all in your head without guidance. During my first stream, a lot of my suggestions for how to improve the game were directly about exploration and the map, but since Volvir is the freaking GOAT, and he listened to what I had to say as I streamed, pretty much every single suggestion I gave was included in a patch to the game, which I'll have on screen here. And that is pretty much everything I have to say about my time with Gravethorn. As always, I try to use music featured in the game, so you can judge for yourself if you like it or not. All of the tracks are by Piano Cafe Kumi, and I'll link their channel down in the description. But I would be remiss to not disclose everything about this game, seeing as though I don't want to lie by omission or anything. When I first saw the gameplay of Gravethorn, I believe that the voice actors killed it, especially at one point about 40% of the way through of the game, but I won't spoil it here. However, it is only fair to share that there are no voice actors. The game does use AI-generated voices. I'm unsure of exactly how they were procured, but I have spoken with Volvir directly about this, and he also does not like using them, and has stated that with his next project, he will be using the money he has earned from Gravethorn sales to help hire actual voice actors. So I leave that up to your discretion as to whether or not this is a deal breaker to you. I can promise, however, that as far as I'm aware, Volvir has either created everything in the game himself, even including the giant mutilated baby you see here, or he has acquired the assets for the game as any other small game dev would, which I believe is some sort of marketplace, but I don't know enough about that. Gravethorn is a labor of love of all the games that have inspired it, and it shows. The creativity in the game design, and the authenticity of the story, and the enjoyment factor of playing the game is all genuinely human, and I am so grateful I got to play it. Do I agree with the usage of AI-generated voices? Not particularly, but I also use a service called TTS Monster for my streams, and that is technically AI-generated voices. So I think it'd be pretty dumb and hypocritical to criticize the usage of AI voices in this game. I do, however, also entirely believe that a game with no voice acting whatsoever would have worked just as well as one with AI voices or one with genuine, authentic, good, real voice acting. I see the vision Volvir had, and it's clear that he wanted to capture the same vibe as Bloodborne throughout the game, and he wanted to have a slightly stronger focus on the narrative aspect of the game, which voice acting contributes to far more than just silent text. And I am a believer of working within your means to make your own judgments based on your commitment to your vision. So because of that, my thoughts on the voices in Gravethorn are, I mean, it's disappointing that you did that, but I'm not mad about it. And besides, like I said, future titles from Volvir will have proper voice acting. So if you like what I've presented in this video, and you want to support a solo dev to help them avoid using AI, consider buying the game on Steam and giving it a try. I think you'll get a good first 2 hours out of it if you're cautious, and a really solid 10 hours or so if you're sold on it thus far, if not more. But I'll leave it at that. I thank you all for watching, however much you did. I do hope that despite some flaws that you still give this game a shot. It's at most $5 and it's more than worth it. And if at least one of you goes and picks up the game and gives it a try, that's a win in my book. Indie devs are already booming much more this year, but we still should show some love to as many as possible, especially the smaller ones. So thank you again, Volvier, for making such a banger game, and I look forward to seeing what else you have to make in the future. And to all of you still watching, thank you again. Take care, everyone. Stay sane out there, and have a great day.